My earliest Three Kingdoms memories from when I was perhaps 9 or 10 years old and playing Dynasty Warriors 3. I had reached the Battle of Hulao Gate, at which point the phrase "do not pursue Lu Bu" was burned into memory for life. In this guide, we'll be teaching Cao Cao why not to pursue Lu Bu. The starting map is a little bit different from the start of the previous videos. The reason for that is I've decided for the Lu Bu guide to go for the 198 scenario aptly named the Lu Bu campaign. This is 4 years on from 194. As we can see, Cao Cao is now the dominant force in the Central Plains, which has been the running theme for most of the videos and almost an inevitable outcome. In the 198 start, Cao Cao is already there. The various intrigues and battles between Cao Cao, Lu Bu, Yuan Shu and Liu Bei have led to Lu Bu seizing Shouchun from Liu Bei, and Liu Bei allying himself with Cao Cao to take on Lu Bu. Lu Bu himself has decided to make an alliance of opportunity with Yuan Shu, who has been in a position of decline since Sun Ce abandoned him. Having declared himself emperor, Yuan Shu has made himself surrounded on all sides by enemies, and in this scenario we can see many of his officers have in fact left his force. Up to the north we have Yuan Shao, who is still an ally of Cao Cao and somewhat hostile towards us, so that is something we either need to be careful of or rectify straight away. Reviewing our starting position, we are both in a position of immediate peril while also having significant strengths that we can make use of. Our starting troop count, for example, is very, very high, very respectable, even if we are outnumbered by Cao Cao, not quite 2 to 1, but not terribly far off. We also have ample gold and ample supplies, so we are in a position where we can make an immediate attack in any direction we want to. Especially if we concentrate our forces together, we can make a push for either Cao Cao in the Central Plains, Yuan Shao to the north, or perhaps we can go in a different direction. Our greatest talent becomes apparent when we look at our officers, starting off which there is Lu Bu, who is the central pillar of our force. If we look at what Lu Bu possesses from the get-go, you'll notice he has Reckless, Notorious and Rash. These are some of the worst traits in the game, in particular Reckless, which I think is the worst trait, followed by Rash. This causes your unit to recklessly attack any unit it sees. You'll lose all control of the unit, whereas Rash means if you get hit by restraint, disorder, it affects you for longer. And with Lu Bu's very low intelligence, it's particularly potent. But the reason I bring these up is to highlight how strong Lu Bu's strengths are and how they outweigh those negative factors to such a degree you almost no longer care about them. First of all, there's Heaven's Warrior. This is an AoE direct damage tactic which is game changing. You activate this and in the right scenario you will win battles you simply have no right winning, even when you're outnumbered, which is almost impossible in most circumstances on veteran difficulty. Soaring General gives you freedom of movement. You have apart from when Reckless triggers, you have full movement capability over any type of terrain tile that isn't water, and when you're not in siege weapon formation, which Lu Bu does not have. And the policy, which we also can't ignore. Strengthen armed forces is fantastic, level 3 in particular, in combination with the policy that increases fish formation, siege weapon formation, goose formation. You will always have top tier units, and the unfettered doctrine I am actually taking more of a liking to, as you'll see later. It really lets you go all out on these strengthened formation policies. You will at the end of the game have policies level 10 for more or less all unit types, while having level 10 morale. It's quite possibly the best at the end of the game. Also, I almost forgot to mention his confidants, very important. He has the fantastic Chang Liao, Gao Shun as supporting officers. He has a wife with the supportive trait, which is always very good. He has the heavily underrated Diao Chan, and even Chen Gong makes a fairly decent siege unit early on in the game. So Lu Bu has it all going for him. Next we have Chang Liao, who is at his best in Lu Bu's force. I happen to think he falls off a bit in the later scenarios where he's working for Cao Cao when he no longer has Lu Bu and Gao Shun synergy. Heroic is a fantastic trait. Courageous is situationally useful, but overall all very positive. His stats are very good. He even has decent intelligence, so you can teach him disorder later on in the game and you'll be very good at using that. He has all the right formations, and he has a reasonably powerful direct damage tactic, which is fantastic when it links with Lu Bu and Gao Shun. Probably his best feature, which might seem controversial, is his domestic policy, strengthened fish level 5. You use this in combination with Lu Bu and you've got level 8 strengthened fish formation right from turn 1. Later on in the game you can even pick up a few officers that will get you to level 10 without too much investment either. And like Lu Bu, he is confidant of Gao Shun, he is confidant with Lu Bu, and I think he makes a good candidate for marrying off to Diao Chan for extra synergy and extra multiplicative bats. Gao Shun is sort of like the Cao Hong of Lu Bu's force. He is overall quite decent, fish formation, no major negative traits, and in fact has the wall breaker trait, which gives him a little bit more demolish when in fish formation. It's because of how the game works, it's actually not tremendously impactful, but he does have a unique tactic that does damage to cities' durability, and I think he might be the only officer in the game with a tactic like this. So he is uniquely positioned to be strong at sieging cities. But he also has the ram formation, and he's probably one of the better ram formation officers in the game because of his high base stats. So in combination with being confident of Chang Liao and Lu Bu, you will always find a use for Gao Shun. He's nothing particularly special, but he is a fantastic supporting officer for your stalwart officers. Chen Gong, however, isn't particularly very good in this game, sadly. His intelligence is just a little too low to be a top tier strategist. His policy is awful. I don't think research fire attacks actually does anything. His unique tactic isn't particularly helpful. Applying restrained and lulling morale, I find you're better off just teaching him a disorder tactic. His formations are very lacking. You're either going to be using him in goose formation or catapult, and that is more or less where his use comes in. You give him a catapult formation, he synergizes with Lu Bu despite falling out with more or less every other officer Lu Bu has in his force. He's there, you can make use of him, and we may very well make use of him, but he's not a top tier talent by any means. More positively, I am very much a proponent of using Diao Chan. Her stats are awful, and you're not going to be using her to be destroying other units. She only has goose formation, which you can make use of, which is perfect for her as it happens. She has the instrumentalist trait, which is very, very useful, keeps your morale at max even on long offensives, and the gorgeous trait sort of works like supportive in reverse. It'll lower the stats of nearby enemy officers instead of buffing the stats of your own officers. So if you have one of Lu Bu's wives out with you with the supporting trait, I think Yan Shi is the wife, yes, she has supportive, you can use Diao Chan in synergy with that, and of course she's a confidant of Lu Bu, so she will buff up Lu Bu. Ironically not a wife in any capacity, so you can marry her off, as I mentioned earlier on, to Chang Liao to boost Chang Liao's stats, which I think you can do. Alternatively, you can give her to Gao Shun and have Du Shi act as the remaining wife. In fact, I speak too soon. Du Shi is actually married. I for some reason thought she was one of Lu Bu's wives. But that will be that will be the officer pool we'll be using for most of the game. I think we should go have a look at the administration now. As we can see, Lu Bu's offensive unit buffing formation capabilities are fantastic. You can have fish and siege weapon from the get-go, and as the game develops and you increase ranks, you can have goose, you can have arrow, you can have ring, you can have all of the formations maxed out. And it's worth pointing out that Yuan Shao has Yan Liang and Wen Chao, which are unfettered, meaning you get a discount, and they have a level 5 fish and level 5 arrow. So once you conquer Yuan Shao, which will happen at some point in the game, make sure to nab those two officers because they synergize fantastically with Lu Bu. For support, we have a reasonable amount of reorganized military thanks to Zang Ba and Shouchun. You will probably want to use your first level up to unlock the second slot of support, so you can get the reorganized military level 7. Schemes, we'll want to do a little bit of trickery earlier on, but long term not particularly useful. Prepare register increases your troop recruitment and is always very useful, but you're unlikely to ever get this to its maxed out potential. Fortunately, we start with maxed out. So not maxed out, we start with a very healthy amount of troops, so recruitment early on isn't going to be a pressing concern. And for Warlord, of course, that will be Chen Gong. He said he's not fantastic at his job, but it's the best of what we have to work with. Sorry. And looking at our domestic, so our personnel, nothing there to make use of at the moment. The first decision you need to make as Lu Bu in this scenario is what direction are you going to expand in, and how are you going to treat your neighbours? First of all, Cao Cao is almost inevitably going to be an enemy throughout the whole campaign, so you can choose to go for Cao Cao right away, or you can choose to defend against Cao Cao until your first target has been taken out. As far as I can see, the options are go north and take out Yuan Shao, which will then subsequently lead you to having to take out Gongsun Zan as well. This is certainly very valid, however you will open yourself up to a very stretched front once you've taken out Beihai and you moved over to the north, where Ping Yuan and Yi will be at risk of attack from Chen Liu and Pu Yang. Because of that, I don't like doing so, because I find you stretch yourself way too thin and you simply don't have the number of officers you need to defend all of these cities, which can be attacked at any point. So if that's not the option we're going to take, there is also the option of going south and trying to take out a fairly undeveloped Sun-Ce. That is certainly very viable. However, that's not the direction we're going to be going with in this video. So we are going to be going straight for Cao Cao himself, because I think for the Lu Bu campaign, this is what you should be doing. Take the fight to Cao Cao, assimilate his officers, and then expand in whichever direction you want to do so. So with that being decided, the only other remaining question is, what do we do with Yuan Shao? Because of Xiaopei's position, you can defend against Beihai quite easily, and I know he can move officers around, but the officers he has here, they're not particularly threatening. So it's got a very long supply line, with even only 5,000 troops remaining behind. You can quite easily flank around, cut off the supply lines and defend any attack he sends your way. But it does mean you always have to leave a certain garrison in Xiaopei, which can be annoying and time consuming, and it's not necessary, because there is another option. If we look at our relationship with Yuan Shao, it is troubled. We do not have enough gold to befriend him. If we sent him all of our gold, we might get up to friendly. However, there is another option, and that is we send off red hair as a gift. And you may be thinking this is absolutely ludicrous. However, there are two reasons for this. Sending out red hair will bump you straight up to friendly relations, meaning you can get to trusted, which almost guarantees a 2-year alliance. But also Lu Bu himself, he doesn't need red hair. Zhang Liao doesn't need red hair. Shouchun may on occasion need a horse, but he doesn't really need red hair. All a horse does effectively is guarantee your ability to retreat if you lose a duel rather than getting captured or killed, so I don't consider it a necessary item at all. When with your officers, you are more likely than not going to be winning the duels. So our first course of action is going to be securing an alliance with Yuan Shao to secure our northern front. Our southern front will be protected courtesy of Yuan Shu, meaning we can expand westward without any concern about our rear flank. So we can more or less empty Xiaopei and concentrate our forces and make a direct assault in for whatever city we choose to go for. Other than that, opening moves are going to include sending out Zhang Liao with just 3,000 troops to build some, or to take the empty core and to build some defences around it, as Cao Cao will be choosing to attack you quite early on at this core. And as you've seen in previous videos, I very much like building the walls, because unlike towers, the AI will never attack them, so it will force them to walk around the walls, which will enable you to flank on occasion and cut off supply lines. So aside from that, don't forget to appoint recruitment over over Xiaopei. I'm not going to assign a recruitment offer in Xiaopei, as there's not enough gold income coming in for it at the moment. And we are going to take the remaining empty core here. After which, over the next following turns, I'm going to assign them as, I'm just going to delegate them for public order to get the public order up. As you've seen in previous videos, I don't particularly care for concentrating on development too much, as I don't think it's necessary. As for events, we are going to send off Zhao Yun over to Liu Bei, because I think it helps Liu Bei out a bit, and we want Yuan Shao to take out Gongsun Zan, as once his alliance ends with Cao Cao, he becomes a quite helpful ally of convenience. Almost forgot, don't forget to hire Chen Shen, as he is a very helpful domestic officer early on. And we are red hair is being very well received, and this will almost guarantee our alliance. We are going to be transporting the bulk of our troops, gold and supplies over to Xiaopei in preparation of our offensive. Also, don't forget to send over Lu Bu and his wife Yanqi and Dio Chan over to Xiaopei, as they will be part of our offensive as well. And with your spare actions, always search every turn, as there are plenty of good items in Xiaopei and Xiaopei, primarily those that boost leadership and intelligence. Speaking of which, this is very helpful for our strategist. I've forgotten his name completely. Not Chendeng. How have I forgotten? It's Chengong, sorry, Chengong. There we are, Yuan Shao is now trusted. So we are 1 turn away, or 2 turns away from getting to an alliance. Sorry, my brain is very slow this morning, so there was going to be a lot of unnecessary pauses. I do apologise in advance. If you're interested in a fun drinking game, you can also partake in taking a shot each time I mispronounce a character's name, a city, or even a basic word of the English language. Another very useful item. Might as well keep that on Lu Bu to boost his capabilities even further, as he is the, as I said before, central pillar of your force. And where Lu Bu thrives, you will find victory. So with our alliance with Yuan Shao secured, I am going to launch our very first offensive. Lu Bu and Zhang Liao are a given. I'm also going to be using Chen Gong, and I think So I want to send about 30,000 troops. So if I max them out, we've got 27, 28, 29. And I think that will cover what we need. That should be okay. That should be okay. So should that. So should that. So Yan Shi and Dio Chan are coming along as support for Lu Bu. Lu Bu is going to be Lu Bu, so nothing to worry about there. Chang Liao is Chang Liao, and Chen Gong will be our catapult unit. So I'm going to send them off, and we will cut back either where Cao Cao attacks Xiaopei, which I think might happen, or where we see our attack hopefully pay off. You will see a lot of these events, and under no circumstances are you to give away your provinces to Yuan Shao. His friendship can be bought back up with gold, and you've got a 2-year alliance anyway, so by the time that alliance expires, you may not even need it. I've also sent reinforcements along to, just as a precaution, to protect Xiaopei, and I think this might very well be our first attack here. Is that Xiaopei? Yeah, Xiaopei's coming out for Xiaopei. But not to worry, I am supremely confident that we will be able to handle this. I do think we'll be using arrow formation for this though, so Xiaopei is hopefully going to go around and take Renchang that way. So I am going to hopefully cut him off. He can go north, he can go south, we'll have to see in which direction he goes. Another helpful item, I tend to give this one to Chang Liao once I've taught him disorder. We can see which direction Xiaopei's going in now. If he goes south, fantastic. Which it looks like he might be. So we're going to take a bit of a gamble and try cutting him off. Like this. If it doesn't work, I lose 4,000 troops. If he goes north, let's have a look. No, I think I will stay where I am for now, as he can't quite reach the core. Be cautious. If it goes wrong, this is a very... No, this isn't actually a very powerful unit. Surprisingly. Well, it's still 10,000 troops against our 4,000, so we're not going to take any chances. Let's wait there and then try and cut him off. Okay, so he was going the southern route. Yuan Shu, much like his brother, is going to want to buy one of our province, to which we say no thank you. Okay, that's annoying. But we can still handle that. So, the plan is to just make a bolt for the supply line and hopefully cut him off in time. Okay, this is a bit of a gamble. This will be interesting to see if it works. Looking like it will. There we are. He's still reasonably strong despite being confused, so we have to be a little bit careful. But this should do. So if I send out Zang Ba with 3,000, and these guys can just act as support, they won't actually be going in. No, mind you, I suppose they could. I suppose they could. So Shouchun doesn't have a tactic that does direct damage, so we should be able to safely surround him, unless reinforcements come. This is a very big gamble, but we'll see if it works. Cao Cao is sending reinforcements to bail out Shouchun. Hopefully won't get there in time. That's annoying. There he goes. Oh no, retreat. So you can see there we took maybe 300-400 casualties and we wiped out 10,000 plus of Yuan of Cao Cao's units there. So that was a very good result. Now we just have to hope these reckless officers, oh, none of them are, get caught. So this should have paid off. Cao Cao's front line is now significantly weaker, and ours is more or less untouched. I can just walk back and take that in. I'll take that back. So a very good result. Cao Cao down 10,000 troops, and he won't be rushing off to attack us again anytime soon. It does look like Shang-Chi, our good old friend, who kindly donated us some supplies at the start of the video, might actually survive this attack as well. So much like in the novel, he's proving to be a very prickly thorn in Cao Cao's side. And in fact, he's even expanded out to Shangyong. Won't have the officers to support both cities, but he's doing very well as long as one doesn't fall. Which could fall if the volley tactic is activated. It's going to be quite close. Oh, I might have showed you a sneak peek as to what was happening there. I will cut away and come back soon. And just to highlight, our gold situation is quite dire. We have less than 4,000 gold between our two cities, barely enough to recruit troops. You can actually see in this scenario that these two little towns have less troops or less population now than they do in, say, pre-194, and that is reflecting Cao Cao's butchering of the province when he evaded to avenge his father. Absolutely decimating the population of Shu province, and as a result they are quite poor cities. What isn't a poor city is Runan, and if you were wondering where I was sending off Liu Bu and friends, this is where. Sadly, Liu Bei has expanded out into Xinye, which makes it a little more awkward, but the plan is to take Runan, which in itself is a very wealthy, defensible city, take Xinye, wipe out Liu Bei and acquire as many of his officers as possible. Under no circumstances do I recommend activating this event unless you are wanting a particularly brutal challenge, as it will cost you Chengdeng, Chenggong and Xiaopei, leaving you with only the one city. By all means, if you think it might be fun to experience Liu Bu's struggle, go for it. For the purpose of the guide, I don't think it is particularly helpful. But also, when I was highlighting Liu Bu's traits, this is Soaring General in action. He can zoom across the mountains even in fish formation, whereas these units here are stuck with very limited movement. So usually I would not recommend attacking a force like Liu Bei's with only 2 supporting core provinces against 3, but we have Lubu, and we have Heavenly Warrior, or Heaven's Warrior. I think we can pull it off. It will be still potentially risky, but I still think we can make it work. So I'm going to edge all of our officers forward, as what we have to do in this mountainous terrain, and once we're in position and Lubu's not going to rush ahead of everyone, we'll launch for the city. Slight contradiction, I am going to go for Langling, as I do not want Shen Gong taking too much damage from this attack, and the more cores we have, the better his defense stat will be. As we can see, just from one turn passing, 40 more defense. So if we get Langling and build that up, I think that'll be all we need. Yeah. If someone comes out and attacks Lubu, I click Heaven's Warrior, and as long as it isn't Guan Yu and Zhang Fei together, we eliminate them. The answer is still no to that. So we're moving in. So you're taking quite a lot of casualties before I'm even at the city. But now that we're in range, we should be melting it quite quickly. I do want Diao Chan to be in supporting range of Lu Bu, but I do not want Diao Chan taking too much damage from the city, so hopefully this should do it. Doesn't look like he's going to deploy. And look at that, half the city's durability gone already. Who have we captured? Ah. 2 nobodies. What a shame. As always, the volunteer event is a lifesaver, 3,000 free troops at no cost at all. Click it whenever you can. So Cao Cao is finally taken out one by the looks of it. I don't think this is going to hold out. The whole of the city's on fire. There are bandits attacking from the side. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing, as it spreads Cao Cao thin. Shouchun is weak. Runan we will be building up, well, what little it needs building up with our best conquering land officers. I got some others on the way, of course, as well. And then we will try to finish off Xinye, which is usually a relatively easy city to attack, but we'll have to see. It's unfortunate it's going to bring us into conflict with Liu Bei, but we need those officers. So Runan has plenty of gold, not too many supplies. However, we have lucked into getting a merchant, so we're going to spend all of our gold, well, not quite, but buying supplies. A bit more than that, 25. Which should give us enough to attack Xinye. After all, Runan is a fairly wealthy city. If we have a quick look what we're bringing in, 1600 here versus 1900 and 1300, and that is without the city being fully built up with the reasonably populous surrounding cores. So, you know, this will be a little good self-sustaining colony as I wipe out Liu Bei and hopefully can hold off attacks from Lu Bu from Cao Cao. However, we have to hope Yuan Shu holds out, and we have to hope that we can somehow get supplies transported across this very large supply line, which won't be convenient, but we've got to make do with the situation we're in. I was going to try and hire Mi Fang, but if I'm honest, I think the gold is worth it, so that solves our gold problem. And Liu Bei looks like he's going for one. And he's going to turn around and realise it was a very, very bad idea. You're going to end up with a three-way conflict here between Shang Shi, Cao Cao, Liu Bei, four-way potentially if Martin gets involved. So I think this is a very good opportunity for us to make a move on Xinye. It's going to have to be a much smaller force than what we used previously. However, we saw how quickly the city melted. I think we can... So 8,000. Okay, a bit less than that. 7,000. I think we can make do. In fact, to help, let's see. Mr. Chang Liao, have we got a disorder tome? No, we do not. That is very unfortunate. Okay. So Lu Bu, Cheng Liao, Chen Gong, 7,000 apiece, and we'll have, as always, the wife squad supporting us. Just for the capability to chain tactics. So if we look at Wu Yin, pre-supporting Liu Bei cause, it would be quite painful if Lu Bu attacked us there. But it seems to be our best opportunity. And we need to go now while Xu Chang is weak, as otherwise we'll be trying to defend Runan while taking Xinye. So this is really the only time we can do this. I nearly didn't notice, but our alliance with Yuan Shu is expiring, so we definitely want to renew this. If we do not, we have no means of supplying Runan and we are most definitely in trouble, so let's hope we can pull it off. In hindsight, I should have boosted him up to trusted before the alliance expired, but I overlooked that, and this is just one of those authentic mistakes that makes a different campaign experience possible. Come on, Yuan Shu. That's not good. So I'm gonna have to send him a bucket load of gold, unfortunately, to buy his friendship. Oh no, I'm completely mistaken. We still have 13 months. It's our alliance with Changyang which is expiring. Panic over. We're completely fine. And our reinforcements, our food, our gold can be sent our way. If I was Liu Bei, this would have been the best time to sally forth and attack us, but it looks like he's going to let us build up and take his city fairly peacefully. So, I am not going to complain. So, soaring general really paying off at this point. And there goes the Cao Cao Yuan Shao alliance. This makes our Xiaopei front that extra bit more secure. So, nothing to complain about. Liu Biao is a bit of a wild card, and Cao Cao has already reinforced Xu Chang, as probably should have been expected. What month? Yeah, early. Probably time to start recruiting in Runan. Easier said than done, sadly. Also just noticed the morale in Xinye is very, very low, so if Liu Bei does decide to attack us, he's going to be at a lot weaker strength than he usually is. I've just noticed Sima Yi is coming to take Chaoling, which is unfortunate, but I'm not going to engage him. If he wants to take it, he takes it. Our priority is securing Xinye. I'm taking this one extra slow because I'm attacking a city with more troops, and I'm attacking with less troops myself, and I need enough troops remaining afterwards in order to defend the city against Cao Cao and Liu Biao, who will probably decide he'd quite like to make an enemy of me. I'm being very, very careful to get into position before I go, giving us an extra turn to build this up, and I think we need one more turn. I always like to highlight it just to show off the power of Confidant and the Wife Squad. Lu Bu stats 1400, 1500 assault and defense, Chang Liao 1000, 1100, and that is simply because Dao Chan and Yanxi and Chengong are acting as multipliers for Lu Bu's offensive stats and defensive stats. So Liu Bei is attacking. Oh, look at this, okay, I'm pausing now. I can't snipe Liao Hua, but what I can do, if I activate this tactic here... He's in arrow formation, so he's more dangerous than Liu Bei. Yeah, I'm going to make this is the call I'm going to make, so if I activate it there... 5 to 7,000 damage apiece. And he's retreating into the city? Yes. So that is what you can do with Lu Bu. Those are some of the best officers in the game, and we just deleted them. And there goes public enemy number 1, and let's see who joins us. Not Guan Yu, that's not a surprise. 2. Oh, okay. So, should I say a mistake I made there? Ooh, scary. A mistake I may have made there is assuming Sima Yi wouldn't want to go for the city. You know what I'm going to do? We have quite a few very good snake. Okay, they're all friends. But I can't remember who's friends with who. So Zang Ba, Changxi, Sengguan, Wudun. Okay, we're going to send them over to Runan, and they can really make use of the Zang Ba, Sengguan, Changxi, Wudun. Yeah, that was them. So they can make use of the mountainous terrain, and I think they will be able to hold the city, especially if I add snake, which we have quite a few of. So if I get rid of that for now, snake, that gives us 6, 9 with Lu Bu, this gives us 11. Max strength snake. In the meanwhile, everyone get in the city. Ah, Mi Fang, he joined us, that's good. He has the wealthy trait, and that will help us generate additional income, which we are actually sorely lacking at the moment. So, who do we want? Chao Yun? Liu Bei, we most definitely want you. If you'll join us. Big if. So there's Chao Yun, there's Guan Yu, there's Zhang Fei. So we've got the gang. And you know the drill here, hire all the officers and then juggle the officers around to fill in the gaps that might have appeared. I will say this isn't a particularly threatening unit, Sima Yi. That's coming our way. Gongsun-san? No, Shangshe. So has really expanded out. Okay, so I think I've also just secured Runan as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to reward everyone that needs their loyalty board. Me, Ju in particular, very unloyal at the moment. Give him a title increase. And I think as a precaution, what do we have here? Give him the politics item. There we are. So, always keep in mind as to who dislikes you. For Lu Bu, that is Guan Yu Zhang Fei. If we hire... I think if we hire the friends of Liu Bei, we might be able to steal Liu Bei to our side. And if we get Liu Bei, we can then get the brothers. Zhao Yu doesn't dislike us, so he shouldn't be completely against joining us, same as Wei Yan. It tends to have a snowballing effect. The more you hire, the easier it comes to hire the remaining officers. Yeah. We got one. Wei Yan. He's not a bad officer by any means. Ooh, the durability of the city though. We got Liu Bei. Excellent. If we lose Runan, it might not actually be the end of the world, as long as we've got these officers. Okay, we're going to have to be very, very careful here. We're going to be deploying the Snake Gang, but it will not leave us with many troops left in the city. I am hoping they can quickly swarm and surround these significantly weaker units. But it is a gamble. We could genuinely lose the city from this. We got Zhang Fei, we got Guan Yu. That's what we came for, and yeah, we've got this. Our mountainous bandits are actually like for like better than these officers here. And oh, Chao Yan, excellent, excellent. He's a supportive ministrant, and he is one of my favourite underrated officers. So, we are gonna go, I think, for the ram. Oh, that is very, very good. Now we need to get that loyalty up as soon as possible, and the easiest way to do that is to give them weapons. So, Serpent Blade, Mr. Zhang Fei, here you go. Blue Dragon, Mr. Guan Yu, there you go. Have we got a banquet event? No, that's unfortunate. Well, we can give them some titles. So, Ho Cheng, you're about to die. Old age, which is a curse of many of Guan Yu's officers, many of Lu Bu's officers, so you can go. Who else needs to be demoted? I'm afraid it's not looking good for you. But with Liu Bei, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, and with those bunch, soon to be Chao Yun, our offensive force, our ability to fight on multiple fronts, has exploded. There we are, we've got the squad. You know, these four officers here, it's a very good example of how you can use very mediocre limited officers, but have the right confidence in the right scenario, and they can be quite powerful. You saw this gang of four wiped out Sima Yi without hardly taking any damage at all. So what we can do as well, once they've finished with that, take Chaoling, and retreat back. Shouchun, of course, is still very powerful. Wan is still certainly very powerful. Shanyong as well. Puyang, of course. But we now have the officers to fight from two sides. Looks like I'm going to be able to nab Chaoyan. 91 loyalty. He'll be persuaded to join us. But look, Transporter, Ministrant, Lawful, even Famed Mirror. These are all fantastic traits, and believe it or not, his Confidant Du Ji is Ministrant as well, so they go well. They work together particularly well. Not that it's easy to hire both of them or get the opportunity to. And in the background, in between turns, I'm still hiring these officers. Just to highlight how poor we are right now in terms of gold, between our 4 cities we have 11,000 gold. Cao, between his 6 cities, has 237,000. Quite the difference, unfortunately. Yuanshu's offering us food for gold, and I think we'll do that. Sure, we're hurting for gold, and we're now hurting even more, but supplies are what we want gold for. That we are now all out, unfortunately. Maybe that was a mistake. And Liu Biao is teetering on the edge of our territory. Not quite going to all of us yet, but I'm going to have to leave a meaningful garrison in Xinye to dissuade him for trying that. So I think this is where I'm going to end part 1 of this series. We have Cao pinched from all sides. We have 2 detached enclaves in Runan and Xiaopei, Northern Jing and Shouchun. In the next episode, I think we try to close the net on Cao. However, before we do that, we need gold and we sort of need troops. I think our only option will be to attack from Shouchun into Puyang or into Chenliu in order to try and gain a new city that will generate us some further wealth. With 30,000 troops more or less to attack from Xiaopei, I think we can pull it off. And with Liu Bei and his friends able to defend Northern Jing from Liu Biao, or Cao if he decides to attack us, I think we'll be okay. Well, even as we saw from Runan, Zang Ba and his buddies will be able to hold off from any attack Cao might make within reason there as well. So this has been quite a fun part 1 for me. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope it inspires you to have a go at playing Lu Bu in this game. He is quite possibly the most fun faction to play. You have plenty of troops, plenty of enemies, and some fantastic officers that aren't going to live very long to make use of. There will be a part 2 and maybe a part 3 depending on how we get on. So I hope you are looking forward to that, and as always, if you have any thoughts, feedback or comments, I would love to see them in the comment section. Thank you very much, and hope to see you in the next one.